Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Sports Card Madness, Episode 3, the podcast that focuses on sports cards, the hobby, collecting, and everything else in between. Today, I sat down with LZ again, and we kicked around what stood out for us at the National, along with several current events, one of them being Post Malone's acquisition of a $2+ million Magic card that made someone's day for sure. And we also talked about $5 million of Michael Jordan rookie cards that were basically sitting around unprotected at the National and what we thought of that. And got into a bunch of other stuff too. I think you'll really enjoy it. And let's dive in. Hello, welcome to another episode of Sports Card Madness. I'm your host, Nick. I'm here with LZ, and we are here to talk sports cards, the hobby, collectibles, and everything in between. We're super excited. We've made it to episode 3, and I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get into things. How are you doing, LZ?
I'm doing good, Nick. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I feel like neither of us made it to the National, but we've been living vicariously through everybody for a while now.
Yeah, I talked about it on the last episode that we did together, right? Like, I need to temper how much social media I use, but last week was not the week to do it, right? Like, with everything going on at the National, I definitely was staying very close to the social media feeds to see everything that was going on.
Yeah, it was awesome. I kind of wish I was there now that I've seen everything, but we'll get into that. So I was all set to dive in and talk about the National, but something just stopped me in my tracks yesterday. I dabbled in Magic cards back in the day, but this kind of caught me by surprise. So Post Malone paid, I think it's $2.6 million for a specific Magic card. Card doesn't do anything too crazy in terms of the game, but it is a one of one and looks cool. It's the Ring of Power type card. It's got some Lord of the Rings writing on it. And what stood out for me was like, wow, okay, number one, this card is Magic the Gathering and it's worth 2.6 million. That's cool. And then the fact that Post Malone bought it's pretty interesting because he's just megastar. And the third thing that was cool is this was bought by just, a random 30-something retail worker, and he was super pumped to have it, obviously. I don't know. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I would say, Post Malone definitely backed up the Brinks truck, Nick, with this one. $2.6 million for a Magic card. It's that is incredible. I mean, to be that 30-something who pulled that card. And diving into the story a bit more last night and this morning. I think the interesting part of it was, I guess this guy was getting a lot of offers from a lot of different dealers and collectors. And he made it a point that he wanted to, if he was going to sell it, which I think he knew the value and he was going to sell it, but he wanted to give it to someone who actually played the game, played the Magic the Gathering game. And he said his immediate thought was Post Malone. He knows Post Malone plays.
Awesome.
Post Malone would, certainly, pay a good price for it. So good for him, right? Social media, you see, the pictures, big smiles from both of them. They were so bold.
He met him and he got to meet Post Malone. That's cool too, right?
Yeah,
Awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty sweet. If only it was me. I love Post Malone, but it's all good. So, all right. So, yeah. The National looked like, it was pretty epic. I think they blew out attendance records. They added another 30% and filled that, no problem. And there were a lot of things that really stood out for me. The first one was there was this discussion with Jeff Wilson and Probstein over the value of cards, which I thought was cool because we talked about that in episode 1. So the argument Jeff was making, which I actually agree with, is you've got the highest graded raw card or the highest graded card that exists for a certain card. Let's just call it the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar rookie card or something like that.
Okay.
So let's say you have a PSA 9 of that or PSA 10 of that. His argument is if you have an autographed one that is slightly lesser grade, that's more valuable. I think for living players, that not necessarily be the case. So maybe Kareem was a bad example, but I think Bill Russell was what they used. And so his argument was a PSA 6 autographed by Bill Russell should be worth as much as a PSA 8 not autographed by Bill Russell, which I thought was interesting. I lean towards him. I always kind of want the autograph on the card, makes it a little extra special. And I think eventually it should catch up in value, but yeah.
Yeah, Nick, I totally agree. I mean, you and I are cut from the same cloth when it comes to, this thought here. We touched on it last time we met again. Let's just use the Kareem as the example. Oh, Bill Russell is the example, right? Bill Russell actually touched that card. Right. Like he signed it.
He's not here anymore.
As opposed, he's not here anymore. And there's a story behind it. There's different variations of the signature, right? You get a really good quality one with a good Sharpie or a good ballpoint pen. So there's just variations too when you start grading even the auto as well. So yeah, you get a 6, corners are nice, and you get like a 10 auto on that. Like Russell took his time signing that card. So yeah. I agree. So
there's a big gap with Michael Jordan too. Like the PSA 10 Michael Jordan cards, you name it, any card. If you get an autographed card, there is similar pop in terms of like the population that exists, but then there's just a massive value difference. The autographed cards aren't worth as much as the pristine versions of his cards. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over time. I think it's like
it will.
We don't know the answer yet,
It will. And I'm sure our listeners can tell that we're very in tune with autos. We've talked about them a lot. So we'll definitely keep everybody posted on trends and autographs.
We like other things besides autographs. I promise.
We do. We do. We do. And I'll, if you don't mind, can I tell you one of the ones that I was tracking last week?
Let's hear it.
Very interesting. Very cool. I had mentioned last time that one of the sets that I'm trying to build right now is the 1986 Flair basketball set, auto signed. It's an iconic set. Have a lot of rookies in there. It's just an incredible set. And during the National Fanatics and BBC exchange, they collaborated and did this really cool giveaway where they had an unopened box, not pack, box of 1986 Flair cards, and they gave them away over like a 2 or 3 day span.
That box is $150,000 all day long.
Yeah. Right? Easy. Yeah. Right? Yeah. $150,000.
Packs of $3,000. Easy.
Yeah. I've seen them slabbed. I mean, it's incredible people do with these unopened packs. Like they put them in a slab, PSA, Beckett. So it was cool. So you had on Fanatics Live, which is one of the new apps they have. They had on stage, it was BBC Exchange, a couple guys from there, and then they brought Michael Rubin and Allen Iverson, AI, up on stage to actually break or to open these packs, and they were giving them away. And
I don't know who I'd be more excited about Michael Rubin or AI. No, they're both pretty cool.
Some big dogs on stage there, and you could tell even the hosts were very excited to have both of those guys up on stage. And the story goes even further, right? So Michael was up on stage, and he starts asking questions about the set, and what are some of the great cards to get in this set? And they talked about Barkley's rookie and Olajuwon's rookie and Clyde Drexler, and then Allen Iverson started chiming in on some of his favorite players as well out of that set. So then Michael Rubin asked, well, what does a Jordan rookie go for? And the guys on the guys on stage, the host said, well, if you get a 10, if you get like a really pristine Michael Jordan PSA 10, that could be worth $150,000. So Michael Rubin immediately said to Allen Iverson, AI, if you pull a Michael Jordan card that is supposed to go to whoever the giveaway was for, because they're pulling names that randomly out of a hat, basically. And he said, I'm going to reach out to that person I'm going to buy that Michael Jordan card off of them. I'm going to give it to you. So what happens about 20 minutes later? They pull a Jordan card. The place erupts. And
that's some big boy moves right there. Hey, I got you 150 grand, no problem.
and Michael Rubin, as far as I know, he reached out to that individual and he bought it. He bought it. He gave it to AI, but the story goes even further. They take the card, they walk it over to PSA, who was at the National, and they do a very quick grading of this card. It comes back an 8. It comes back a PSA 8, which is not worth $150,000.
Yeah, it's probably 10 grand, give or take, something like that.
10,000. So Michael Rubin up on stage is laughing. AI, I just bought your card for 150 grand and it's worth 8 grand. Oh, that was a priceless moment. That was great. That was
he needs to throw in an invitation to his white party or something like that to make up for the loss.
There we go.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
The other interesting one that stood out for me, I'm a big Kareem fan. Obviously, with my 1969 set, his rookie card is super important. It's one of the flagship cards in the set. So over the last couple of years, I've been, cracking or opening up slabs and getting his card signed. But that process takes a while, right? You got to buy the card, get it shipped to you, crack it, ship it to him, get it signed, get it back. This guy at the National, he did it all in an hour. So he buys this PSA 7 Kareem card, which, that's also probably about $10,000. He cracks it on the run with a screwdriver, walks it right over to...
Didn't use tile cutters, Nick?
No, I think he used something else. It was cooler and it wasn't tile cutters. So he brought it over and, just literally handed it to Kareem. It didn't have to go through the shipping and insurance and all that stuff. Kareem signed it with his full name. He inscribed my rookie card. Then not just that in itself saves you a month, right? A month of time. But then he went one step further and PSA was on site and they actually were slabbing things on site. So he walked it over to PSA, got the thing slabbed, and it was slabbed a 710, which with an auto, that's just a beautiful card. I think my best one is a 610 because, there's things happen to the card and shipment and everything. So I don't know. It was pretty cool. That stood out for me.
Yeah. And it was all on video, right? You saw the whole path. I did see that one. So you said that you actually do have a fair amount of Kareem autos.
Yeah.
When I see a Kareem auto, I mean, they're great. He does the full signature. You can almost see every letter of Kareem's autograph. Do they all come back 10s or do you have some that come back 8s and
so
9s?
The thing that Kareem does is, he's got a long name. It's not Nick Smith, or whatever. So he's got to fit that long name into a tall boy card, which is 3 inches wide. So he does a great job. Most of the time, I would say he pulls off a 10, but I don't know, 1/3 of the time or whatever, it trails off the card. So that Jabbar, that R will kind of go off the card, which is sort of a bummer. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, I'm not judging anyone. My signature is horrendous. So, but
I'm lucky I'm lucky if you can even read the L and the Z.
Right. Exactly. So if he does that, typically they'll grade it a 9, if it goes off the card, which is fine. But it's pretty cool for him to kind of maintain that and get that grade too.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, we could talk about the National for forever here, with everything that happened.
Yeah.
But the other one, and this is a really quick one, and I won't ramble on about this one. There was this guy who had this incredible tattoo. It was this full arm sleeve of very old, vintage baseball cards. It was the tobacco cards from back in the day. And it was beautiful. I would guess that it was a fairly new tattoo because the colors were really popping on this thing. So I think that's what's great about the National, which is this big industry collectible event, is yes, you can go there to buy cards, There's also people on stage talking about different topics. And then there are people that just go there and, they want to show off these incredible.
It's like a Comic-Con,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the future too. It'll be interesting to see what Fanatics does with the events, because I'm going to Comic-Con on Sunday with my daughter, and that's a blast. It's very different than a card show. It's more pageantry. You dress up. They're collectors too, though, which is cool. And there's autographs involved. But I think like the more spectacle or the more interesting things that can happen at the National, I think would be great. There's no reason they can't have like a kids area with like players chucking passes to them, or, running 40s and getting timed and stuff like that. I think, there's definitely going to be a transition, I think, over the next few years. Almost a healthy competition, I think, between what Fanatics does and the National. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Pretty interesting.
And that's how you build. Oh, sorry, Nick. I mean, that's how you build this collectible market, like the space that we want to talk about every day. You build it by having these other experiences too, right? The kick the field goal or meet your favorite player, or there's so much you can do. And I like the fact, especially with some of the things Fanatics is doing using technology. Like I had a chance to use their Fanatics Live app, and they seems to be doing some great things there. So, I mean, what could you even do with technology at these conferences as well? So I think it's exciting. Yeah, sky's
obviously
the limit.
Demand. They're blowing at the seams, and it's like one of the biggest convention centers in the world. So,
and I think it's healthy competition too, Nick, for the National as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, hey, now there's another one. Yeah, I think it could be good.
Yeah, they could even do East Coast, West Coast thing, or who knows. It's interesting too, like the National, it goes to show the rarity of some of the stuff we're dealing with, like with our sets. I talked to 5 or 6 people that were there, and if they could get to a table because of the crowd, it was one of the themes was that signed vintage was very rare. It was tough to kind of find a lot of signed vintage cards. For the listeners out there, I know I use these words probably without explaining them. Vintage very simply just means cards that were made and are not made anymore. That's vintage or whatever. Modern's debatable. There's ultra modern and modern. It really just depends on the year of the card. But what I was saying is that these old cards that aren't made anymore, that are signed as well, and often from deceased players, were super rare there. So it makes me feel good about like the assets I'm accumulating and the sets I'm.
Yeah, and Nick, I was hearing similar feedback, but not even just the auto side, even vintage as a whole. There wasn't too much of it as well. So for the listeners, it's definitely something to get into. I love the modern stuff as well, but getting into that vintage, and that's what me and Nick are here for, to help you. I mean, feel free to reach out to us as well, through comments on this podcast or Instagram or what have you. We're happy to help you out in those areas.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So one other crazy flex that I saw. So Propstein's been in the game for a very long time. He owns a massive consignment house that, they're probably like the second biggest on eBay or whatever. They're great. He's great for the hobby. He's got a ridiculous collection. And at his booth, he had a simple plexiglass, like it looked like a Target frame, to be honest. Inside this frame that was probably 4 foot by 3 foot or something like that, there were casually $5 million worth of Michael Jordan rookie cards. The frame was framed out by PSA 10 Michael Jordan cards. They were just kind of chilling there. There's no security guard, nothing like that. I thought that was bananas. Not just like just so much value in one place. It was just like the craziest flex ever,
And there was just a card table between you and those cards protecting you from $5 million in Michael Jordan cards. I was following that too. And sure, you can fill us in a bit more on these details. But what I also heard was that he went and he wanted to see if so Beckett, they have a different grading scale, and they have their verse. So you have PSA 10, but then Beckett they have something even like above that, which is like their black. Is it black gem? Is it called, Nick?
Yeah, they actually have two above
that.
Yeah, so there's PSA 10, which we kind of talked about last week. And then Beckett's got a pristine, but not black label. That's like just a hair better than PSA 10. And then the black label's ridiculous. I mean, it's like they're not just handing those out to like every card on the street. If your finger like ever even touched it, it probably would fail. Like you have to immediately take the thing out of the pack with gloves, and there just aren't many of them. They're not handing them out like crazy. And I think, someone paid for him to submit them all to try to get that black label. No dice. None of them passed, which is wild. It shows you how selective they are. I mean, because these are all well graded Michael Jordan rookie cards, but, that's fascinating. So I could only imagine what a black label MJ 86 Fleer rookie card would go for. It would be in the millions for sure.
Yes.
Because it's like one of one, like not one of one like this, Magic the Gathering card. Like this is like a legit crazy one of one that you'll probably never see again. Fascinating. It would be cool to pool all the PSA 10s to see if
all the 10s,
if any of them qualify. But it was cool. I mean, props to Propstein. That was an attention getter. That's really, really cool display. So there was one more thing you wanted to cover from National, right?
There was, man, I feel like we're talking about Michael Jordan was everywhere during the National. It was this one quick video of this kid who was opening up a box, and he probably in his teens, and there was all these guys surrounding him, and they were all like cheering him on, and he was opening up this exquisite box from Upper Deck, like the small box. It probably had maybe 3 or 4 cards in it. And he was opening it up, and they were talking, oh, is there going to be a Michael Jordan in there, this and that. And the first card was, I forget what it was, but it was just a normal card. And the next card he pulled was a Michael Jordan exquisite Upper Deck autograph signed. It actually had, I believe it was a piece of his jersey in the card as well. The place erupted. People surrounding this kid, like chanting his name. And the one thing that made me nervous, I mean, maybe he knew all these people and that's fine, but the one thing that made me nervous is like everybody around him like grabbed the card and started passing it around. And I was like,
like, come on, man.
Very nervous. Now, again, that's the only context I had from the video. Maybe he knew all of them and they were
You might have just said, hand it. Yeah, everybody check it out or whatever.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
We need like
that was, a lot of energy in the room right there when that happened.
Like the no shirt, no shoes, no service sign, or like don't pee in the pool sign. Like there needs to be like a card etiquette sign. Like, all right, guys, if you pull a card, don't do this with it. Don't hand it to other.
That's it.
Whatever.
That's it.
Crazy. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that was wild too. All right, I think that's good for 2 people that didn't go to the National. I feel like that's
next year.
Yeah. I think next year we'll probably do a pod from there for sure.
Next year.
And for context for the audience, this episode's going to be published on August 11th, and we're talking on August 3rd. So the National happened like last week for us right now. But this is coming out in a couple of weeks. So cool. One of the things I wanted to talk about, because we're always kind of wheeling and dealing cards. I think it might be cool for them to hear some of the pickups we've had in the last like week or two. So for me personally, I brought this up on the last pod. I acquired a Pistol Pete Maravich rookie card, which there's only 8 in the world that are signed. It's a 1970 Topps card. I should have grabbed it. I could show it. So this is a really cool pickup for me, but I wanted to talk about the mechanics behind it, because this shows you how crazy these deals can go. So one of my buddies posted his Maravich card on Instagram, and I made a comment on there that said, man, I'd love to have that card someday. That's it. Walked away, went about my day. Somebody messaged me because they saw that, said, I got one. Do you want it? They gave me a price. And I said, all right, that price works. Where do you live? Of course, they live in Los Angeles and I live in Boston. So I'm not driving to it.
No.
And I was like, all right, well, that's a little bit of a problem because the insurance on this card is going to be nuts to ship and there's just a lot of risk, right? So there's a good friend of mine that's in the card world and I've bought a lot of stuff from him and I've built up so much trust that he lives in the Los Angeles area. And I said, hey, Dan, can you meet with this guy for me? Exchange the card, exchange the money and grab it and ship it back to me. So trusting this card that's, it's a 5-figure plus card in the hands of a buddy that could be like, nah, I don't feel like shipping it back to you. Was pretty wild.
Ooh, this would look good in my collection.
Exactly. One for you. Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all went down. They met up at a casino that was halfway between the two. Dan called me and said, all right, I got the card. I also got a Scarface poster in the same deal. Card looks good. Everything's legit. Matches what you're getting. We're good. You want me to hand the money over? Hands the money over. They separate. Dan ships me the card. Of course, the Postal Service loses it for a day. They just have to do that for fun sometimes to make your life interesting. And then it showed up and I got it and it's pretty sweet. It's probably staying in my collection for a while, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Congrats on that one, Nick. That's a beautiful card. You sent me pictures of that. That's very nice. Yeah. And just the story behind Pistol Pete as well. Him passing at a young age.
Right. Yeah. He died at 40.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. But
yeah,
he was just,
but his handles for those that maybe do or don't know about Pistol Pete. I mean, man, he was just an incredible ball handler. Incredible. The things that he would do with a basketball.
6'5", and basically had the same vision and handling as John Stockton. Probably would be a better distance shooter too. They just didn't have a 3-point line. I mean, the dude scored 43 points a year in college, and somebody did the math. If they had a 3-point line, it would be like 55. He'd be averaging 55 points a game for the season.
Wow.
Every season. Just bonkers, right? Like he was, he deserved the name Pistol Pete, like for the sharpshooters. Pretty cool.
Yeah. That's cool.
So what do you got going on? What'd you get in the last week or so?
I'm actually not going to talk about basketball.
Oh, all right. Oh.
I'm not going to.
Let's hear it.
Because I could talk about the set that I'm building, and we're going to talk about that one all the time. But just two interesting TTMs that I got back this week that I wanted to share with the audience through the mail. TTM. I sent these things in the mail a while ago. Oh, geez. Probably 3 months ago. And I got them back this week. And it's like, again, it's the fun of going to the mailbox. I actually have them here. They're right on my desk.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So we'll see if we can do a little visual here. But the first one is actually a Jay Leno. The glare is kind of tight. If I hold it back here.
Ring on that?
Jay Leno wrestling card.
I feel like that was from a WWF event like 20 years ago or something.
Yeah. It's a Topps 1998 World Championship Wrestling card, WWC. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this one today is for those that kind of keep up on kind of pop news culture. Jay Leno's actually had some kind of health scares this year. Okay. I know one, he got burned. I think it was working on one of his cars. And that was actually when I sent him this letter. I just sent him a letter like, no, Jay, just, hopefully you're feeling better. And then soon after he had another, health issue. So, I mean, I think it's good news that Jay must be feeling better enough to, be signing these cards and mailing them out. So
probably a good sign.
If Jay is listening, Jay, I'm happy that you're feeling better.
Yeah, and cool wrestling.
And thank you for my card. So that was just an obscure card. Second one was we talked about turning lemons into lemonade when we got together last time. And this is by no means a lemon card, but Darrell Waltrip, NASCAR driver.
Yep.
Also broadcaster as well. He's great on air, just real funny and charismatic.
Yeah, funny dude.
Yeah. A 2018 Panini Prism. I'll try to make sure there's no glare there.
Oh, it's nice.
It's just a cool card. I mean, it's a newer card from 2018, but that's an old school pick right there. I picked this card up because I heard that Waltrip signed, but it's actually numbered as well on the back, and the glare's terrible on the screen, but you can't see that. But it's 52 out of 99. So here is this card that I got for just a couple dollars. And I said, hey, well, it's numbered, so they're only making 99 of these things, and this is number 52 of it. Why don't I see if Waltrip will sign it? And he did. So I got these both back this week. These are kind of the two cool ones. I mean, there were other ones that came this week, but I want to make sure that, I covered things other than basketball. So we have a Jay
I
Leno
swear we like
card.
more than basketball. We'll have some baseball people on.
And an ascot.
That's pretty cool. I mean, to be fair, I got a Disney card back. I got a Toy Story card that has pieces of the actual film from Toy Story 2 in it. I sent that to Tim Allen. It's a Buzz Lightyear card, and he signed it for me. And it came back a 910 for PSA, which is pretty cool. Like, that'll just be in my my collection forever. It's Disney. It's pretty neat. So,
and I'm sure your kids probably enjoyed that one too, Nick. Right? The kids, did they like that card?
Yeah, they loved it. They loved it. I mean, my son always gets excited when anything comes autographed, through the mail. He's super stoked about it.
Yeah. Well, that actually dovetails into one thing that I wanted to bring up. Movies, Netflix. So you're talking about Toy Story, right? And Netflix. One of the things that I wanted to bring up today, which is an incredible watch on Netflix for collectors or anybody who's even interested in collecting, or maybe like not even interested in it, but just literally wants to be entertained. There's this incredible show. I'm sure some of our listeners have already seen it. Maybe the majority have. It is called, it's a mouthful. So I wrote this down because it is a lot. I just wanted to call it The Goldin Show, but it's not called The Goldin Show on Netflix. It's King of Collectibles, The Goldin Touch. It's a great watch. So it follows one of the auction houses, which is Goldin. Goldin Auctions, and there's a whole story behind that. Very charismatic owner and CEO, probably president of Goldin.
Been in the hobby a long
Goldin
time.
Is his name? Yeah. Oh, he's been in the space a long time. Grinding it out. And it follows him and his team as they go around, and every episode kind of focuses on maybe like 2 or 3 different collectibles or collections that they're going after. And this is everything from F1 racing cards. There is a whole Beanie Baby episode as well, which is wild. And you get to meet all the different personalities and folks that he has working for him. And it's really good. And similar to what we're trying to do with this podcast, that show is very approachable. So I would recommend it to really anybody because it's just entertaining. At one point they have Peyton Manning on the show, Ric Flair. So I'm probably giving away too much, but
right. It's kind of like watching Pawn Stars or something. It's just entertaining.
Yeah,
you're seeing interesting stuff.
Yeah,
Very
it is.
Cool.
It is. So highly recommend it to everyone. It's a good way just to learn because they have like teachable moments in there as well. So. That's a good watch, and if any of these other ones come up, we'll make sure we tell you about them. So
yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
that's on Netflix, right?
That's on Netflix.
King of Collectibles. Yep. Cool, good stuff.
Yep. King of Collectibles. Right. Yeah.
So I think the time has come for Madness University, right?
Yes,
our Madness University every week. Do a little Madness U. Perfect. All right. So typically you're serving them up to me. So I think you wanted to ask me something, right? We'll do that again.
Yes, I did.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love being able to serve them up to you because then like really like the pressure isn't on me, Nick.
I love it. Yes. I don't want to see these, so it's great. I'm surprised by them in my opinion.
Yeah.
Cool.
you're like a wealth of knowledge. So we're going to be
right.
serving them up to you for a while. But with the Netflix show Goldin, I kind of wanted to just get into like, what is an auction house? Like, wait a minute. For someone who's getting back into the game, into the collecting game, maybe they did it in the past, and in the past they just went to the store and they bought some cards and maybe they sold them or they traded them. But now all of a sudden there's these auction houses.
Yep.
So our listeners might have heard about that. So can you just tell us like what an auction house is, especially in the collectible market?
Yeah, sure. Auction house might even be intimate for people to understand what that is, but I think we all know what an auction is, right? You have one bidder or multiple bidders going after an item. The price rises until somebody quits, and then they get the item. So these auction houses, there are several. I'd say Goldin's probably the leading one right now. PWCC is another one. Heritage Auctions, Leland's Auctions. There's quite a few. There's probably a dozen that I could rattle off. They have different specialties. Some might focus on pop culture. Some might focus more on baseball or vintage, and some like Goldin might just do everything. It might be something from Albert Einstein to something from Muhammad Ali. You have no idea. So the reason these auction houses exist is a good one. It's kind of like PSA. They are a third party that provides a service, right? So if I want to sell a card, especially an expensive card, let's say I have a Michael Jordan rookie card I want to sell. It values at 30, 35 grand. That's going to be tough for me to like find somebody. I mean, I could go in the Facebook groups and do that. And now if somebody says, yes, sure, I'd like to buy your card. I have to like fly out to them. I've got to, protect myself, maybe even have a bodyguard. Who knows, right? You've got to do a lot of things to get that done. And then, when you get there, you got to make sure they have the right amount of money. There's no more haggling. It's done for you. It's a pain, right? And you got to find the people. So an auction house cuts all of this out, right? They're an intermediary. So in this example, I would send this Michael Jordan card to Goldin, and they give me a price range for what they think it's worth. And then it would get listed in one of either the weekly auction, a monthly auction, could be a quarterly auction. And a lot of people see that, probably millions of people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now instead of me going to like a few collectors and saying, hey, you want to buy my card? There are millions of people looking at this auction. They print a catalog. It's online. So you got your eyeballs. Yeah. And then when the sale's done, they handle that. They're handling the collection of payment and all of that stuff. And they'll handle shipping the card too. So basically, you hand them a card, you get a check. It's free. You pay for this fee. You pay for this convenience. Typically, it's 20%. It can be different depending on the prices of items and what you negotiate with the auction house. But it's good for another reason too. So I personally finished my set last July, thanks to Goldin. I bought the Michael Jordan autographed rookie card there, and it was the reason I wanted to buy it from an auction house, other than the convenience that I just mentioned, was that Goldin will back it up. So if something happens with that card and I get it, it doesn't look right, or I think it's fake, or if it turns out to be fake, I can go back to Goldin and be like, come on, guys, this wasn't right. This has probably happened before. I don't want to speak for them, but and they'll back it up for sure. Most auction houses will say, all right, money back. They'll deal with it with the person who gave the card. And so there's convenience and peace of mind and eyeballs, essentially. So it's a great service for the collector community, really collecting anything. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like they're doing a lot, if not all, the legwork for you. So, the service might make sense. And, the story around you having to find people on a Facebook group or there's risk in that, right? So this is another way of like de-risking the sale that you're trying to do. So that's interesting. You'd mentioned, so there's Goldin, PWCC was another one, right? That is the one, I believe. Didn't Fanatics just buy them?
Yeah.
Well, recently, I mean, let's call it past 6 months maybe or so. Yeah.
That actually reminds me, they offer one more service that's quite convenient. They have a vaulting service. So both PWCC and Goldin, you can actually send them cards. If you buy a card, they'll stick it in their vault. They'll take a nice picture, and you can literally, without handling the card, sell it from that vault to eBay. And the kicker is you don't pay taxes on that typically, unless you live in the state where the vault is, because you never actually possess the card. So I could see why fanatics would buy PWCC. It's just vertically integrating, right? Like you want to be able to have that extra service as well.
Oh, that's that. I didn't know about that tax thing. So this is why we have Nick. We have Nick right now.
I'm totally sure. I'm not a tax attorney.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure there's a tax savings if you don't possess the item. You don't pay it until you actually sell the item and collect the proceeds, which could be years, right? So you can defer your taxes until you have a lower income, etc.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. All
awesome.
Right.
That was Madness U. So, we'll close it. Let's close out the pod with a couple things. The first one I think I'd like to do is just to kind of see what me and Larry are up to over the next week or two. So, LZ, what do you got going on in the next week or so in the collection world?
Yeah, well, right now, to the over on this side of the room, I do have a couple. Well, they're not TTMs. They were autographs that came in from the 1986 Flair set. So I'm laser focused on that one right now.
Cool.
And I'm excited to open up these couple. I'll share them on my Instagram, Autograph Stalker on Instagram. But for me, that's going to be the focus. Also going to be catching up on more national news. There was some news that just dropped today around Panini and Fanatics and potential lawsuit. So definitely this week I want to read up on that, see what's going on there. You kind of have the old big dog versus kind of the new one who's going to be taking over soon. So I'll be focusing on it'll be interesting there. What do you got going on this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always on the hunt for I'm down to 6 more that I need for the signed 1969 top set. That's going to be out there. That's going to take me a while. And then besides that, I've got Michael Jordan rookie sticker card that I bought actually at Goldin. I'm looking to send that to PSA to hopefully get slabbed for my collection as an upgrade. Yeah.
Fingers
and then
crossed.
you'll get the other one, so it's perfect.
Wow.
Hopefully it works out. But it's been...
I didn't know you're going to share that with the audience, but double fingers crossed. Cause I mean, I want Nick to be able to get that in a PSA because I know that whole set that you have is PSA. So you don't want to have this random JSA one, but yes, there is the opportunity for me to procure that card if it all works out. So we'll see.
All right, let's close this out. So one of the things I wanted to ask the audience, we're obviously a new podcast and reviews are critical. We're getting like tons of great feedback, which is awesome. I didn't think anybody would actually want to listen to us at first. So it's pretty cool. And I think what we decided to do was run a little contest. So if you like the podcast, please, wherever you get the podcast, could be Apple, Spotify, whatever. If you leave us a 5-star review, take a screenshot, DM it to either me or Larry. I'm Boston Card Hunter on Instagram. Larry's Autograph Stalker
on Instagram.
DM it to one of us. We'll enter you in. And LZ, what do we got for a prize?
So the first one up is we have, again, sorry for the glare, everybody, but this is a mega box, retail box, a full box of cards, 2021 baseball Prism. So,
awesome.
Hey, you write us a review. We're going to send it,
somebody's getting it next week. We'll announce it.
Yeah, we'll announce it. I mean, it even says on the side there's even an autograph in the box too. So this could be a pretty cool gift for everybody.
So we're going to try to auto, Ohtani auto, something good like that. Nice.
Maybe. We'll see. But perfect. Could be anything.
So. All right. So if you, like I said, if you like us, leave us a 5-star review, take a screenshot and send it to us. You'll be entered to this and we'll give it out next week. Awesome.
Great.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us. This was a blast. It went fast. It always goes fast. Yeah, hopefully we'll get another great guest on next week. And yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. That's the pod.